Hi everyone, my cousin asked me to build a cabinet to cover the washing machine with wood as part of a laundry renovation project for her mother's home. I am going to show you how I make it in this video. Here I begin by creating the cabinet's frame. I'll be using bridle joinery for the frame. Here I mark the joinery's length by placing one piece on top of the other. For more precise lines I used a combination square and a knife. For the joinery's width I marked the pieces ends here, and I highlighted the pieces I would cut for the joinery with a pencil. For cutting the joineries I am using table saw. Here I adjust the height of the blade with the line that I marked earlier. I then clamped a piece to the fence as a stop before starting the cut so that every cut would be the same. It is preferable to cut joineries close to the lines because using a table saw will leave some marks on the surfaces, so that you can use a chisel to finish and make the joinery more accurate and cleaner. In order to make both sides equal, I used this wood as a bed for the chisel. I will demonstrate how to make one tenon here. I made 8 in the same manner. It's now time to construct the slot mortises. I am using a tenon to measure by positioning it on a mortise location and marking it with a knife. I then used a square and knife to extend the mark on all 3 surfaces, and I used pencil marks to indicate which part I needed to cut. I cut most of the mortise with a table saw, just like I did with the tenon. Here I raised the blade close to the marking line. I am sorry the camera wasn't in focus when I cut the mortises. I used this jig to clamp the pieces so that it would cut vertically. I used the chisel to finish the sides after using a piece of wood as a bed, just like with the tenon. I then used the chisel to complete the cut by clamping this block on the marking line. In this manner, hopefully the mortise and tenon will fit well. Making these joints required patience and preparation. Like the tenon, I made 8, but I only showed you one so you could see how I did it. I tested the mortise with the tenon after I was done and it fit well. All of the tenons and mortises are now ready. So I put the joinery together by applying glue to the tenon and mortise to create a sturdy joint. I work alone on this channel. For instance, I designed the cabinet, built it, and recorded the entire process before creating the video. Every step of the process takes time, from designing to creating and posting the videos on social media. It takes a long time to create a single video because of this. It can be quite annoying at times when I spend so much time creating a video and still do not receive enough views. However, sharing my passion for woodworking with you is what I enjoy a lot. And after you watch the video and find it entertaining, I hope you like it, and if you haven't already, subscribe my channel. I also want to know what you think I should do to make my videos more interesting to viewers. Let's go back to the joinery. I clamped them and let them dry for a day. I created 2 of them, one for the top and one for the base of the frame. Before going to next step for making the frame, I used my orbital sander to sand the excess glue of the joint. I then used a table saw to cut the stretches for the frame. I am using pocket holes to assemble them because they are a quick and sturdy joint. After making sure the 2 pieces were square, I applied glue to the pocket holes. I drove the screws to create a permanent joint. I attached all 4 stretches to the bottom with screws. After that, placed on the floor and used long clamps to assemble the top. To keep them from moving while I was assembling them, I clamped them after making sure all the stretches were in their proper places before driving any screws. In order to give the frame more strength, I then added another stretch for the back. It is time to use these pine boards to cover the frame, which I purposely cut them longer. Each piece was first placed, after which I marked the line to be cut. Took it to a meter saw to cut the line. Sanded the cutting areas by hand and then screwed the piece into place. Although I only used screws, I made sure the screws heads were hidden from view by screwing the frame to the piece. I went through the same steps again for the next board, using this tiny block to ensure equal spacing between each board. After completing one side, I turn it over to complete the other. However, I inserted an additional stretch in the center of the top, and then I glued two pieces to each side. These pieces are solely for the screws, allowing me to screw inside without showing them from the outside. I screw all the boards inside just like this. I completed the top in this way, which means I completed the boards covering of the frame. Right now I am building the doors. I marked the locations of the dowels that I used for the joinery. I also drilled 2 holes for the dowels in each joint using this dowel machine. I then glued the doors frames. I clamped the frame, then took the clamps of the following day. I made 2 doors in the same manner. I am currently using a router to create grooves inside the doors, clamping this long board next to the door to create straight grooves because I will be using bamboo net for the doors, which I will staple inside the grooves. I am using the orbital sander to sand the frames after creating the grooves in order to get rid of any extra glue that may have gotten on the surfaces. Once the doors have been sanded, I prepare the entire cabinet for finishing by sanding it from 80 grit to 220. The end grains in particular show the results of sanding here. Let's return to complete the doors, where I use my drill press to make the locations of the cabinet's hinges. I started by fastening the hinges to the door frame with screws. I then screwed the other end of the hinges to the side of the cabinets after placing the doors in their proper locations. I fitted and tested them, then took the doors off so I could put the bamboo net in place. Before installing the net, I sunk it in hot water for half an hour. I did this because I was looking up how to install it online and discovered that it would be easier to install if you soaked it in hot water for half an hour. This is because the hot water will soften the net, make it easier to handle, and it will cause it to shrink, eliminating the need to stretch it before stapling it. The net will slightly expand after drying, preventing waves from forming on it once it is installed. As soon as I remove the net from the water, I staple them before it dries. I put the net together using staplers, stapling each inch of the net into the grooves to strengthen them. I intentionally left the net larger than the grooves so that I could use a utility knife to trim the excess after assembling them. To flatten them with the net, I then hammered a few of the staple heads. I don't like how the bamboo nets and the staplers looked. To give them a more polished appearance, I used these frames to cover the grooves, and I used glue and nails to install them. It's time to add a finish to the cabinet and doors. I used wipe-on poly, which is very simple to use. All you have to do is apply it with a clean cloth, let it sit for a few minutes, and then wipe off any excess. It also gives the wood a natural appearance without changing its color. After applying the finish on the doors, I applied it to the cabinets as well. After the finish dried, I added handles to the doors, using this special jig to find the screw locations. I then made the holes slightly larger than the screws by drilling them. Next, I tightened the handles. This is the design of the handles. It's time to put the doors back together and test them. Here is the cover in its place, and my daughter assisted me in taking the photos. I appreciate you staying to the very end. Please subscribe to my channel and like the video.